Hello. So another vlog style video this week because I've got stuff going on related to birthday and my D&D game. So just doing kind of vlog style, keep it chill. Um and related, this is kind of a follow up also to a vlog style video from that's also kind of off the cuff from a person I follow, ProZD. Lots of people follow. Voice actor, comedian, and he did a video recently of 10 anime that he would like to see get an additional season. Not necessarily second season. Some of them have had several seasons before, but an additional season. And that got me thinking, because I generally agreed with basically all his picks. Like more Haruhi, which would be a third season, that sort of thing. The one thing that I thought was there anything I'd substitute out? I'm like, he did Silver Spoon, and it's a good show. I would have perhaps in its place for a different show for an like if I was doing my list for an agricultural college themed show. Do or agricultural school themed show. Do want a third season of Moyashimon. This turn got me thinking about my list of, and honestly, it spun out a different direction because recently we've gotten the works of Rumiko Takahashi getting revisited with new adaptations, and certain light novel series like Spice and Wolf getting revisited just last year. And going, okay, what do I want to see revisited? What would I want to see get another shot? Some of this is going to be getting another crack at it. Others might be a several year down the road new season. Although, admittedly, for at least one of them, like probably better stuff starting for even for some of these, probably better starting from scratch. With that in mind, as with all of my lists, I should mention these are in no particular order. These are in the order which I think of them or thought of them when coming up with this list. Number one, Meisana Koku, continuing with the theme of Rumiko Takahashi's work, getting new adaptations. In the case of Meisana Koku, the previous anime adaptation we got is stopped short before the actual end of the story. This is kind of a thing with like the contemporaneous adaptations of Rumiko Takahashi's work in general. Yurisi Yatsura had to get revisited with an OVA, which actually adapted how the manga was written to end. And then of course we have the modern adaptation, which covers all of that. I don't believe the proper ending of Ranma 1/2 received a OVA ending either. Similar to based on the Koku as well. It just didn't quite get there for the television broadcast. And for that matter, like Yasha had to get the final act TV series to actually finish the story, all that sort of stuff. So we're going in this trend anyway. Let's do the entirety of Meisana Koku. It's similar to these other shows. It's a long running manga with a nice sitcom slice of life coverage, um, slice of life plot, but again, in more of the sitcom sense rather than the slow life Yashike healing anime kind of sense. So having that would, I think, be a nice touch. Before moving on to say Mermaid's the Mermaid Scar series, for example. Moving on from that, as mentioned earlier, say it again. Moyashimon. That series, we got two significant arcs. One like basically the first year of the school through the introduction of Kay and revealing that Kay is if not trans in general, don't trans. Kay is trans, or at least gender fluid. So we had that, and then we had the France arc, and like there's at least one more whole arc with like another international trip to the United States, go to Louisiana. So why not do another anime adaptation of that, or either adapting that arc, or start from scratch and go from the beginning? Maybe take some cues from like how we've learned about how to write trans people. I mean, the original series is done is fine. I think the main issues I put up with it are more almost feel more like as I mentioned in the podcast episode about that. I'll put a link in the show notes. How the localization is done for pronouns for the character. Was kind of but other than that, like again, I'd love to see more Moyashimon. Um, that's our second pick, I believe. Uh, Third pick is going to be well, in theme of these romantic comedy period piece anime, the way that Mesa that Urusei Yatsura and Ramon Half have maintained the period where the original work was set. I definitely gonna go here with wanting to see Oh My Goddess get revisited. Uh that show or the manga, I've reading it off and on for quite some time. I've enjoyed it a lot. And I think like most of the anime versions that we got, like we had the OVA originally, um, which was a short, limited run, basically promotion for the manga. It's early in the manga's run as well. We had the second television series, which is early in Digicel, so it's basically kind of like it's kind of stuck in standard definition limbo, unfortunately. So not necessarily getting a chance for a high definition version, but getting to see a new anime adaptation now that the story once again the manga is complete and we have it from beginning to end, and also with this having now high definition, doing it Digicel in 1080p, going to okay, putting that level of detail into the period technology of the time. There's some really great mechanical and technological detail in the backgrounds throughout the manga, and seeing that in the manga adapted to the screen again, honestly, would be wonderful. Again, the creator um, of Oh My Goddess, it's Fujishima, I believe is how his last name is. I don't have to go actually look at. I don't think so. I have to look at it. Uh, yes, Fujishima, Kosuke Fujishima. Uh, Two of the big things he's known for is character designs, which is why he did character design for so many of the Tales games, and mechanical designs. He did a lot of mechanical design contributions to Gainax and various projects. Part of the reason that You're Under Arrest exists is him going, "Oh, I like this particular model of car, which comes with a small pocket motorcycle as an extra. I want to do a plot around that." So getting more oh my god, this would be wonderful as well. And I'm not expecting them to adapt the whole thing because the darn thing ran for basically 30 years, yeah, 30 years approximately. Yeah, 30 years. 27, 30 years. About there. So I'm not going to adapt the whole thing, but there's a lot of good stuff in there that could probably get like 3 or 4 seasons out of it. Much as we got with Urusei Yatsura. So that would be a blast. Number four, Sazan Eyes, or 3x3 Eyes, as it's written on it, in which if you read the manga back in the day, which is released by Studio Proteus slash Dark Horse, I believe, had the U.S. publishing. This is back when manga was getting published in floppies and did eventually get collected editions. Sazan Eyes got two OVA adaptations. One adapting the very beginning of the manga, and then one kind of standalone story, a little somewhat past that, and not much since then, which is a bummer because I've read some of that manga through rest of the manga through various means, and it goes places. It really goes places, and I want to see it get adapted. And now that we're starting to get anime again that are willing to take chances with violence in a way, like stuff like Chainsaw Man, stuff like Jujutsu Kaisen, stuff like uh, uh, Blood Friends, as the Japanese has Japanese title, and then the subtitle, which is that translated Blood Frenzy is the translated part. All of that, Heavenly Delusion, because we have these shows that are willing to take these chances with violence again on television, no less, I would be interested to see them do a new appraisal of Sazanais and do a new take on it, which follows it further. Um, Admittedly, we're also getting the territory of a bunch of these roles are characters who are played by Hashibara Megumi, who I feel like is starting to wind down her career in some respects. Like she's come back to do Ranma, but it's like also I suspect like once she's done doing Ranma, is she going to come back to Pi? I don't know. Um, Also revisiting um for oh my goddess as well because Kiko Inoue. I mean, well, she's still going. I mean, just ask her. She's only like 19, so she's got a long career ahead of her. So there's that. So we've got that ahead of us. That going on. So like Sazanais, I'd like to see that again, like get a new treatment once again. And rounding out for a fifth thing, um, I put a lot of thought into this because we've got like, some of the mangas that I've read. Um, some of them have gotten like the first one that come to mind have gotten other full adaptations beforehand, but have even gotten additional work done on them to make them to flesh them out into a new series or address issues with earlier adaptations or even with the source material, like with Area 88. But I think after thinking about this a bunch, what I think I'm going to do for my fifth pick is Silent Mobius. And the reason is this. One, Kiya Asamiya had problems. Like, like with the original adaptation. It was a troubled production. And he, towards the end, was practically disowning it. And it ends on the plot beat of the characters going off to the final battle and just stops. And I think and there's room there to finish the story, so tell the whole story and finish it. But also, I do wonder if there's aspects of the story that I think that Kiya Asamiya would do a revised appraisal of and do an adjusted take on if he were to do a new version of it now. Like if he were to supervise an anime adaptation of it now. Like for example, um, at the time it came out, which is like the 90s, like the early 90s, the show had this tack of the manga and the anime had this tack of okay, we are doing a team of all women as part of this force to defeat these demons, out of basically more or less a borrowing from the aspects of I guess what I call pagan feminism in terms of the idea that inherently healing power is inherently feminine. Oftentimes, though, this comes up in a gender essentialist way that's connected to birth and the ability to give birth. This is not a new issue either that's come up or like a new concept. There are some like there's a plot line in like the Barbarella comics from the 70s and 80s, which involves her Barbarella infiltrating a um, group of basically rogue mad scientists, and as when she's given a test to invent something that none of us can create, to join, her response is to get pregnant and give birth because all of them are guys. And it works, but it also has this is the, when I'm reading, it's like, this is a very gender essentialist way of handling this. And like, this ties in again to the manga, where it's like, the climax is very heavily focused on characters who are assigned female at birth, and not just are assigned female at birth, but like the fact that they are able to conceive and bear children is essential to the plot. And but it's written in a way where where it feels like Asamiya-san sensei is not trying to do this in a women's role is as mother and child bearer kind of way, but in a sense of, but in a, again, like this mindset. If you were like paying any attention to any like the pagan folk magic circle stuff, hippie, neo hippie pagan stuff from the mid to late '90s or early to mid '90s, just through the '90s in general. This was a thing that was going on. I knew a bunch of people from honestly middle school to high school, from adults who were in the Society for Creative Anachronism, from attitudes that were expressed through products like some of the World of Darkness stuff that was going on, from Wicca during that period, and my classmates in high school and college who were into Wicca, to this goes on to the early 2000s, actually, honestly, to stuff like critical discourse regarding Neil Gaiman's Sandman. This is part of the reason, by the way, that a lot of people just felt so gross about how Neil Gaiman, all things turned out with Neil Gaiman being outed as a sexual predator. Is he was in this part of this discourse that was going on in a favorable sense at the time. But also, Gaiman wasn't the only one doing this either. He was picking it up from other sources as well. This was kind of an, like, Mercedes Lackey gets into this some, though she also gets into gay content as well. Like this was in the background radiation of the '90s, in a lot of respects, in fandom and fantasy and speculative fiction. So it's not unreasonable. In fact, it'd be almost be reasonable if they weren't getting this in Japan, and Kia Azumiya wasn't riffing off of that. So with that in mind, like I would like to see if, when adapting the series again now, perhaps Azumiya Sensei reappraises some of that, not necessarily in a not in a no, I'm less feminist sense, but in a less gender essentialist sense. Um, like perhaps like there's like with that cast, there's room for one of the characters to be trans, honestly. Um, and I'd be interested to see if he'd be willing to take that risk, to take that jump with that version. Or have one of them be an older, have a sponsorship character be an older figure who has undergone menopause, or hint, or no longer has a like no longer has a uterus, something. Um, that would be a good place to have an interesting discourse, and one of the situations where with some of these works you can, when revisiting them, go, okay, this doesn't play the way I intended it to, or didn't play the way I intended it to, or my worldview has changed since then, and I want to approach this in a new direction. And I'd be interested to see how that would go with Silent Mobius. And again, once again, the original anime adaptation has some real problems and is not helped by the fact that it doesn't have an ending. So that's my 5. So once again, my 5 in no particular order: Moyashimon, Meison Ikoku, actually, I've been watching, I did this off the cuff. Oh My Goddess, Sanzanai's 3x3 Eyes, and wrapping it up, Silent Mobius. So, what classic anime series would you like to see, or anime like to see revisited, either with a new start or a older manga that was finished, maybe got a partial adaptation, but never got the whole thing? That you'd like to see get the complete story on screen? Let me know in the comments. I'm honestly interested, particularly if it's something that I haven't read before. I'm always looking for new manga to read. So let me know in the comments.
Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the show, please like and subscribe. And also consider backing my Patreon. Patreon backers get episodes up to 1 week early of this show and any future Let's Plays. Also, please consider backing my Ko-fi. Toss me a few bucks also helps support the show, and it's not a monthly obligation or anything like that.